Hello and welcome. I'm Sanjay Pinto. It's a cliche, but I'll still say it. It can happen only in India. Natural resources, water in this case, setting states on fire. The flashpoint in the Mullai Periyar standoff between Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The violent echoes on both sides of the border. The regional fanaticism that is raising its ugly head brings back memories of the Kaveri water war 2 decades ago. One remembers the mindless violence unleashed on innocent Tamilians in Karnataka. One remembers the targeting of vehicles bearing Tamil Nadu registration numbers. One remembers the retaliatory strikes here, with even bakeries run by one community having to change names to continue in business. Just recently, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Ms. Jayalalitha had appealed to parties in Kerala for peace and for reason. But that response has been frenzied. Both sides have hardened their stance, even as MDMK Chief Vaiko staged a fast in Theni demanding Tamil Nadu's right to raise the storage level in the dam. Kerala knocked at the doors of the Supreme Court to ask for Tamil Nadu to lower the storage. Tempers are running high. The divide is getting more invidious. The panic button has been pressed. Fear psychosis has been created. And the big question tonight, 2 states or 1 nation? Joining us live, B.S. Jnanadesikan, President of the Tamil Nadu Congress, K. Venkatramanan, Deputy Chief of Bureau of the Hindu, KPP Shankaran Nambiar, General Secretary, the Federation of All India Malayalis Association, Nityanand Jairam, environmentalist, and Fawaz Jalil, a student from Kerala who's come to Chennai to study. And that debate comes up in a few minutes after the headlines. Southern tensions rise. Kerala goes to the Supreme Court to lower the storage in the Mullai Periyar Dam. People hope this is not a throwback to the Kaveri water feud of the early 90s. Vaiko observes a day-long fast at Theni to protest Kerala's stand on Mullai Periyar. Says there is no threat to the safety of Keralites.
He will be the last person to see any of the Keralites is affected or their life is affected by the dam.
The Supreme Court asked the Tamil Nadu Home Secretary to consider Soham Roy's plea to lift the ban on his movie Dam 999 in the state. A special court in Delhi gives Janata Party Chief Subramanian Swamy a chance to explain why 2 witnesses need to be examined in his bid to make P. Chidambaram a co-accused in the 2G case. The fence harming the crop. A 60-year-old watchman of a private bank's ATM is arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting a 6-year-old girl. A reality check on how ambulances in Chennai just don't get the right of way. Artificial barriers. Artificial barriers created and exploited by vested interests. That pretty much sums up the sudden sense of insecurity that has enveloped Malayalis in parts of Tamil Nadu and Tamilians in areas in Kerala. But our reporter Anand tells us how interstate bonding and harmony can prevail over parochial and narrow-minded fringe groups at play.
33-year-old Prakash from Kerala has been running his banana chip store in T Nagar in Chennai for the last 8 years. Das from Tamil Nadu has been helping Prakash and his shop. Though Prakash and Das are good friends, Prakash's relationship with Das, he says, is as weak as the banana from Kerala. Das protected Prakash on Wednesday when the store was attacked by an alleged anti-Malayalam group. The recent Mullai Periyar Dam issue.
We have been working in Kerala with Tamil Malayalis. ஆனால் இது வரைக்கும் எந்த ப்ராப்ளம் வந்துட்டில்லை. இப்போ வந்துட்டுருக்கு. அதான் பயமாக இருக்குது. பாதுகாப்புக்கு யாரும் இல்லை.
அதாவது இது கேரளாக்காரங்க கடை தான். நான் கேரளாக்காரங்கள்ட்ட வேலை செய்கிறேன். நாங்கள்லாம் ஒற்றுமையாக தான் வேலை செய்கிறோம். எங்களுக்கு வேண்டிய கடைலாம் கொடுக்குறாங்க. நாங்கள் அண்ணன் தம்பி போல தான் பழக்க வழக்கம் வச்சுருக்கோம். அங்கத்தை பிரச்சனையால் இங்கே மக்கள் பாதிக்கப்படுது. மேலே இடத்துக்கு இது சரி பண்ணுவோம். இதனால் எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் பாதிக்கப்படுறாங்க. பொதுமக்களும் ரொம்ப பாதிக்கப்படுது.
Velayudhan Secretary Kerala Samaj says that the Keralites here in Tamil Nadu are now facing threats as the Sabarimala devotees in Tamil Nadu were attacked. It is the duty of both the governments to stop this issue. He says people living in the border areas like Coimbatore, Palgad and Theni are literally living on the edge.
വളരെക്കാലമായി തമിഴ്നാട്ടിലുള്ള മലയാളികളും തമിഴ് സഹോദരന്മാരും വളരെയധികം നല്ല ബന്ധത്തിലാണ് നീങ്ങിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു പുതിയ സംഭവവികാസം, അതായത് ഈ വലിയ പ്രൊഫഷണലുകളിൽ ഇരു സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിൽ നടന്ന അക്രമങ്ങൾ ഇവിടുത്തെ മലയാളികൾക്ക് മനസ്സിൽ അങ്ങേയറ്റം ഭയം, പുതിയൊരു ഭയത്തെ ഉരുവാക്കിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. കേരളത്തിലെയും തമിഴ്നാടും ചേർന്ന് ദ്രാവിഡ കുടുംബത്തിൽ ചേർന്നവരാണ്. ഈ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ പരിഹരിച്ച് ഇരു സർക്കാരുകളും ഇടപെട്ട് നല്ല രീതിയിൽ പരിഹരിച്ച് മലയാളികൾക്കുള്ള ഭയം അകറ്റിത്തരണമെന്ന് ഇരു സർക്കാരുകളോടും നിങ്ങൾ അഭ്യർത്ഥിക്കുന്നു.
The Mullaperiyar Dam row is a classic example of regional chauvinism playing the spoilsport between two neighbouring states which have otherwise been cordial. The centre has invited representatives from both the states for negotiations on 16th of December. Tamil Nadu, however, has decided to stay away from the negotiation.
Welcome back to the big question. Let's cut across straight to Mr. B.S. Gnanadesikan, the new Tamil Nadu Congress chief. Mr. Gnanadesikan, thank you very much for joining us on the big question. Sir, is this a fallout of what many consider the games politicians play? Remember, many years ago, we remember what Bangarappa's rather provocative remarks on Kaveri and what happened after that.
Good evening, Sanjay. There are two things. Really, it is an unfortunate that the Kerala, they have whipped up the emotion, and with the result, a few disgruntled elements, they invoke this violence, and with the result, here also only few people are attacking the shops of Keralais. If you see the visuals of many TV channels, it is only hardly 5 or 10 people going and breaking the windows pans of the shops owned by Keralais. It is not the mass movement. Nobody in Tamil Nadu wanted to destroy the shops of the Keralais, nor to affect or attack the Keralais. Similarly, the people in Kerala are also peaceful. It is only some elements in Kerala border who have created this panic, and then with the result, all these things happen. You referred about
I want to ask you, Mr. Gnanadesikan, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has rather justifiably asked for the deployment of paramilitary forces. There's CISF there in the Mullaperiyar Dam. She says you can't really trust the Kerala police. No response from your Prime Minister, with the result that the government has had to go to the Supreme Court.
No, I endorse the request made by the Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, and I also appreciate that she has given a statement appealing to the Kerala people to maintain calm, and also to all political parties. Here, I feel that in these circumstances, it is better the Central Industrial Security Force guard the dam, because there is a problem, because they have encroached upon the land, the border, and then they destroyed certain properties in these border areas.
Right, fair enough. Let
so
me bring in
better it is that...
yes, sir. Let me bring in Mr. K. Venkatramanan, Deputy Chief of Bureau of the Hindu. KV, thank you for joining us and also waiting patiently there. Now, KV, what should be actually resolved amicably across the table, or what should be determined by courts, is playing out on the streets. Who is responsible? Who is to blame?
I suppose it is a consequence of allowing a dispute of this nature to fester for a long period of time. I suppose some resolution was achieved through the court about 5 years ago, but the fact is that in India, judicial decisions on interstate disputes are seldom accepted by the aggrieved party state. It has happened here also. It has happened in the past. I think Karnataka did not accept the verdict of the Kaveri Tribunal either at the interim stage or at the final stage. Punjab has not accepted some of the judicial decisions with respect to its agreements with Haryana. And I suppose if this trend continues, it is up to the centre to intervene effectively and uphold the rule of law. Unfortunately, the kind of leadership is lacking right now. I think this is a direct fallout of such a standoffish attitude on the part of the centre.
All right. Strong words there from KV. KV, also to ask you, I mean, there's a filmy twist, and there's always a filmy twist when it comes to some dispute in Tamil Nadu. Do you think that this film, Dam 999, is a sort of a trigger in many ways that can be equated with the Enfield rifle of the 1857 Sepoy Mutiny? Was that just a coincidence, or is this something that actually provoked people here?
The timing was certainly something that drew natural suspicion, but I suppose one should not make much out of this film. By all accounts, it's not something that ought to have been given so much of attention. It's possible that a group of people got together and made this film, and some others believed that it bolstered Kerala's case. But I suppose, you know, this ban was an excessive reaction, and it would have been much better had people in Tamil Nadu ignored it. But at the same time, we really have to look into what exactly was the circumstances under which this film suddenly came to light, and why this has, you know, received such wide support from the anti-dam protesters.
All right.
But by and large, I think it's a non-issue.
Non-issue. Mr. Nyanadesika and KV making an important point there. In fact, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister also said that for once all parties in Tamil Nadu are on the same page as far as the Mullai Periyar issue is concerned. There's no need to really convene a special session of the Assembly or to pass a resolution. Are you also on the same page with regard to the ban? With regard to the ban on the film?
No, in fact, I wrote a letter to the Information Minister, Srimati Ambika Soniji, to revoke the that certificate given to that film, because there is no need to name it as Dam 999, because you know this agreement is for 999 years, and therefore the dam is indirectly refers only to the Mullai Periyar Dam, and it has created a lot of panic among the people of Kerala. Therefore, I have written a letter long back to revoke the license given by the censor board. That is number one. Number two, I want to mention here, you referred about Karnataka problem 2 decades ago. I have travelled in depth in Karnataka, and you know that there are a lot of Tamilians living in Bhadravati, Eriyur and so many places, in Davanagari, etc. Absolutely peaceful. Only few disgruntled elements in Bangalore created this problem when Kaveri dispute came. And in inner Karnataka, the Tamilians were living peacefully without any problem. Likewise, in Kerala also, there are some disgruntled elements created this problem in the border area, and the entire people of Kerala is also calm. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu also, except few people are indulging in this violence, there is no panic among the people of Tamil Nadu. Number two. Number three, already there is a judgment in our favor with reference to the maintaining height of the dam. And again, now the committee is looking into it, Justice Anand committee, and that is expected to give a report. So we have to wait for the judicial decision.
All right. KV, to bring you back here, in fact, stars have always jumped onto the bandwagon. We saw that even with regard to the Hoganekal issue not too long ago. Stars almost seem to, they need to be politically correct. You even had the superstar having to express regret for his comments on Hoganekal in order to have his film released in Karnataka.
Yeah, that's right. I think this is all unnecessary, you know. I think the governments of both states, and there are experts who can resolve this issue. I think it's unnecessary to mobilize public opinion through the intervention of film stars or lawyers on this matter, for that matter. This is a matter that should be resolved straight away through the courts, and if that's not possible, through negotiations at the highest level. There's really no need for any mass movement regarding this. Yes, Ms.
Nyanadesikan, you wanted to comment, sir?
Sir, I agree with the views expressed, because there is a system in our country how to resolve the dispute, either between two individuals or two institutions or two states.
But no one is respecting the court order, sir. No one, sir. Kerala tried to circumvent the court order by passing a resolution in the assembly.
No, that has been now at the instance of the Tamil Nadu government, that Supreme Court has already gone into it, and then only in that SLP the Empowerment Committee has been appointed, and the Empowerment Committee is looking into it. That resolution has become a non-est now. Sir, I want to tell, I even appeal to media also in these sensitive issues. I think we have to play a very, very cautious role in these matters.
KV, I mean, that's taking off from Mr. Nyanadesikan's point there. As journalists, do you think we also stand the risk of getting caught in this crossfire, especially when tempers are high, when it's an emotive issue? How challenging is it to actually report on such issues, especially from ground zero?
Yeah, definitely it's challenging, because any sort of coverage of these incidents on the ground, well, the one thing is that it can't be censored, you can't refrain from reporting it, but at the same time it should be, the coverage should be such that it does not tend to, you know, inflame passions once again. And thankfully, I think the incidents are dying down. But I don't think there has been any major incident today.
All right. All right, KV, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you. We'll let you go and check all those copies that are probably piling up on your table right now at the Hindu office. Thank you very much, KV, for joining us. Let's also now cut across to Nityanand Jairam. Let's bring in an environmentalist perspective here. Nityanand, thank you for joining us. Now, there has been talk that Mullai Periyar has been raked up by vested interests to divert attention from Kudangulam. What's your take?
Well, I think one that there is very little trust in any government, and we can't put it past the government to resort to all kinds of tricks. Whether this has been raked or not, I don't know, but the very fact that there is doubt in the minds of people indicates that there is a lack of faith in the integrity of governments and their intent. And that, I think, is also one of the main issues with the Kudangulam nuclear power plant itself. When the government tells us it is safe, we're not prepared to believe it because there's a crisis of confidence, there's a crisis of integrity.
All right, Mr. Nyandesekan, their accusation coming from the environmentalists is the government really, the centre really playing games. This is at least what Udaya Kumar of the anti-Kudangulam brigade seemed to suggest this the other day.
Pardon, sir?
Is the centre playing games, sir? Because Udaya Kumar of the anti-Kudangulam brigade.
No. Yeah. No, centre, there is no need for central to play any game. They have other issues to be solved. There are several headaches in Delhi.
Divert attention from 2G, sir.
Games.
Divert attention from 2G as well.
No. 2G is going on daily basis. Therefore, there is no need for diverting any attention of anybody. No, this is an unfortunate incident. Suddenly it has come up, and it is an unfortunate incident. I also don't agree about our Youth Congress and BJP creating such a problem in Kerala. That I don't agree also.
I was just waiting for that blame game to start, and finally it has started. Let me go back to Nityanand. Yes, Nityanand, as an environmentalist, do you see this? Because that's the way it's being pitched, at least in a section of the media, as a debate between life and livelihood.
Well, I think that any issue to do with safety is an issue that has to do both with life and with livelihood. In the Indian Constitution, there is a right to life, and the right to livelihood is read from this right to life. But unfortunately, I think that increasingly on issues like this, they tend to be sensationalized, they tend to be emotionalized, and it becomes an issue between two communities. And it is very unfortunate that this has become a Malayalam or Kerala versus Tamil issue. It should not be that way. I think that this requires a considered approach on both sides to understand what the risks are and to be able to face it with an honest acknowledgement.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Shankaran Nambiar, for actually staying very patiently while Venkatramanan finished his because he had to go back to his copies there. How insecure do Keralites feel in Tamil Nadu now, sir? Because, of course, after the Ayyappa devotees were attacked at the Kerala border there was some sort of retaliatory strikes here in parts of, isolated instances, of course. Mr. Nambiar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to ask you how insecure does your community feel here in Tamil Nadu, sir? Because after Ayyappa devotees were attacked on the Kerala border, Tamil devotees there was some sort of retaliation here. Isolated cases, of course.
Yeah. That is that Kerala border with the Ayyappa devotees attacking means that is not actually it is not doing for all these things to Kerala people. But some anti-social elements is doing all these things.
All right, we seem to have lost that link. Fawaz Jalil, you're a student who's come from Kerala. Do you also believe, is there a sense of panic among your community here?
ഈ മുല്ലപ്പെരിയാർ ഇഷ്യൂ വന്നത് പിന്നെ ഭയങ്കര പ്രശ്നമാണ് ബിക്കോസ് ഞങ്ങൾ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന് നല്ല പേടിയുണ്ട് അത് മാത്രമല്ല
ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് என்ன மலையாளத்தில் பேசுறீங்களா நான் தமிழ்ல பேசுவேன் அப்போ why don't you answer me in English? Yes.
Well, after this issue has come up, recent issues like a college near in Chennai has got police protection in this issue, and after hearing that, even students in my college are facing certain issues like we don't know because people who have been friends to us, we can't speak to them about the Mullaperiyar issue suddenly. It might incite some problem or controversy. Even social media platforms.
What's the talk in college canteens? I mean, in your college canteen, for instance, now that this issue has flared up.
Probably, normally people actually stay away from this topic because they feel it might incite a controversy. They're like, let's not talk about Mullaperiyar. But then the reason is because in case, what if something happens? What if our friendship or what if something happens to us? That's the whole issue out here. Even in social media platforms, we actually had a discussion, but the kind of response we get from our friends was really shocking.
What was the response?
They're not supporting us. They're like, As in this Mullaperiyar issue, they see us different. We lived as friends. We're like brothers. It's Kerala and
so suddenly things have changed, you're saying?
Things have changed. Like, you know, when it comes to this issue, people are like a fight. It's like really shocking.
That's sad. I mean, I hope these are just isolated cases. I'd like to go back to Mr. Nyanadesikan, sir. Is it possible? Yes, it's one thing to blame all the stray incidents of violence on fringe groups, on misdirected elements. But can these fringe groups actually survive without political backing, sir? Because many in India believe that the prerequisite for success in politics is the ability to mobilize a crowd. Buy each member of a crowd a biryani packet, give them booze and 100 rupees, they will land up there. And most of these protesters don't know why they are protesting. We've seen that, sir. So are political parties behind these flash in the pan protests?
No. This in the recent past, some fringe groups have now emerged in Tamil Nadu. They are raising their ugly head, only believing in violence. If you see the visuals, yesterday I was able to see some visuals. Only 10 or 15 people are attacking these shops in Tanjore, 10 or 15 people attacking in Chennai, and there is no large scale mass movement anywhere in any place in Tamil Nadu. If you see Chennai itself, people are moving as usual in every buses, trains and cars. There is nothing, absolutely nothing is happening in either in Chennai or any other place. Only few people who have no other go, and I request the government of Tamil Nadu, already the DGP has given a warning, and on behalf of TNCC, I also urge upon our government, as well as I will also take up with the matter of the Chief Minister of Kerala to see that these things are not happening either in Kerala or in Tamil Nadu.
All right, that's good. Nice of you to say that, to actually do your bit to exert some sort of pressure on the government of Kerala, so that, because the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has accused them of trying to create panic, unnecessary panic, that those fears were unfounded. Yeah, let me go back to Mr. Nambiar. Mr. Nambiar, is there sort of heightened security at various business establishments in Tamil Nadu owned by Keralites?
Actually, in Tamil Nadu, all the Keralites are living very peacefully, without any problem. But nowadays, only due to this Mullaperiyar issue, the problem will started. Actually, in Kerala border, they are threatening in this even the Sabarimala devotees and others. But so that the Tamil people also, some Tamil anti-social elements, they have started problems here. Even yesterday we faced so many problems, so many tea shop and hotels they are threatening, and they made some more problems. Even today also some of the shop is not opening due to this, they are afraid about the problem. Because actually this is even this problem in the Mullaperiyar issues, we are waiting, both the state government is waiting for the Supreme Court order. That is the better. Even the Tamil Nadu government is taking the decision, is actually very good decision is taking the Tamil Nadu government, because we are living here as just like a brothers. We don't want to make any problem against the Tamil people or in Kerala.
Absolutely. Let's hope wiser counsel ultimately prevails, Mr. Nambiar. Let me go back to Nityanand Jairam. Nityanand, there has been this IIT study commissioned by Kerala, we are told, pointing to that the dam is not safe. What is the danger of such reports being doctored to favor one state over the other? Because we do know, and I remember a commentator was telling me, for instance, there are companies which sponsor research done by cocoa companies which come up with the finding that chocolate is good for the heart. So what is the danger really of these being slightly slanted?
Well, I would not be able to comment on the IIT report per se, because I have not seen it. But if the question is, can we believe a scientist? My answer is not always, or most of the time, no. Scientists are extremely invested interest. Most of the scientists are not available for the community. They either practice for public private industry, or they practice for the government. So they do, in most instances, even though they might be good in science, they lack the spine, they lack the courage to speak the truth. And we have seen this in the issue of Kudangulam, where we have a large number of scientists behaving like astrologers, including Dr. Abdul Kalam, who says unscientific things like Kudangulam nuclear power plant is 100% safe, or that a tsunami will not happen. These are things that only Jyotishis or astrologers can say. So given that the country's most celebrated scientist itself is not behaving in a scientific manner, I do not find it incredible that there are allegations of vested interest or the allegations of doctoring behind virtually any scientific report that comes out.
All right, thank you, Nityanand. But then, of course, those were strong words. We really do not want to subscribe to sweeping generalizations. It's important. It's a fact that we don't have a scientist here really on the panel to defend that. But I leave the final comment to you, Mr. Gnanadesikan. What will you do, apart from, of course, you have expressed solidarity, you have appealed for peace. The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has done a great job, really. I mean, she's appealed for peace. She's appealed, made an emotional appeal to Keralites to respect the court order, not to, allow passions to be inflamed. What will you do, sir, specifically when it comes to at least asking the Prime Minister, your Prime Minister, to actually ensure that there's perhaps CISF deployment at the dam, so there's no vandalism that is likely has apprehended by Tamil Nadu?
No, all our Congress MPs have already met the Honorable Prime Minister 2-3 days back. And again, we are taking up this issue with the Honorable Prime Minister. The first thing is already the matter is in court. There is no need for people to go to streets and fight it out, this issue. It can be solved only by the court. And I think that Tamil Nadu government has taken a right step, and all the parties in Tamil Nadu have no difference on this issue. And to my part, I am going to talk with my counterpart, Mr. Ramesh Chennithala in Kerala. Already I have spoken to him, and I will try to speak to him and see that all these things doesn't happen on the Kerala side.
All right. Mr. Gnanadesikan, always a pleasure. That's a very moderate view there from Mr. Gnanadesikan as always. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Nambiar. We really
thank you, Sanjay.
There are no untoward incidents in Tamil Nadu, that it remains a haven of peace. Thank you, Fawaz. Maybe I'll learn a little Malayalam from you after the show. That's all the time we have for, but stay tuned. Priya comes up with news in Tamil.